a problem. They would say they brought this thing to kill us all. Do you understand? And then if now they have received the vaccine, people are saying, I'm even hearing people on the street saying it's water for injection that was injected into their hand, that they brought this thing. There are lots of ideologies around this.
Look, there's nothing you will hear. There's nothing you will hear.
But I think beyond everything else, if people are taking, we should take. And our government and health officials should pay attention to people, because one of the problems that we have in Nigeria is some little bit of carelessness.
I read on the news. Sorry for cutting you short. I read on the news that we have NAFDAC in Nigeria. Am I right? And we have specialists in NAFDAC. And of course, if our nurses and doctors are going for export, we should have the best hands to checkmate all these things. And all these things boils down to the same thing that I'm trying to say. We are supposed to have scientists. We're supposed to have scientists.
COVID-19 vaccine have NAFDAC number on it?
I don't know. I've never seen it. So I think these are some of the things that we need to watch out for. If it has been cross-examined by NAFDAC, it has passed the health, the drug certification ministry in Nigeria, then it's okay, and it has already been administered to top government functionaries, and it's coming down to you and people that want to take the vaccine.
Are you not taking? Well, I think this is a call for investigation. It's a call for investigation. Fine, let's find reporters who will find out whether NAFDAC have certified this vaccine they are giving unto us
or not.
God help us.
All right, we'll be taking a quick break. We'll be back after this time out.
Yesterday, I got that hook for barbed wire. Now expert rate we go come out time everybody they look for. Big man, when the great area boys, he motor spoil for Ajagunle 3 days ago. Now that day him realize say alaye na him brother. My country people, many things they happen for Niger, just yakpa for Africa, and the international story ain't not there finish. Hello, who dey me line? Happy? How far? What did happen? I did record my promo. What did happen? You say coronavirus. Then they give vaccine. I beg, help me stay for line while they come. I go soon finish my promo. My country people, for this Ogbonge program, switch. Our work now to put air for ground. Carry all the latest story. Come give them to you. I see the hot. My sister, my brother, mommy, daddy. Carry your remote control. Tune them to ViewerTV channel 191 on StarTimes. 4:30 p.m. every Tuesday and Wednesday. Make we honor, make we align matters arising. Before can happen, eventually happen. Anything where they block our national, continental, and diaspora progress, make we switch them.
Advertise your products and services on our platform. Viewer Television is here to give your business a boost with a touch of professionalism. If you're a brand owner, entrepreneur, proud business owner, let's place your business in the face of your customers. Contact us so we can talk business on 081-2121-2278 or info@viewertv.com.ng. Always remember, we are here for you.
Hello, good to have you back. Now, we have a guest right in here in the studio with me, and I stumbled on him actually on social media. I liked what he was doing, and then I liked his passion about the country and the things you do. So, here in the studio with me is Obinna Osisiogu. Did I call it right?
That's correct.
Thank God I didn't mother it. Okay, so he's executive. No, I'll let you introduce yourself. Right?
Yeah, that's fine. So my name is Obinna. I'm a social change activist. I run an organization called Advocacy for Civic Engagement, and what we do is we try to foster more ways, creative ways that citizens can engage government on issues of policy, governance, and electoral reform. We're actually working on we're doing a lot right now to rally up the right voter consciousness ahead of 2023, which we're deploying very soon. Yeah.
That's like remarkable.
Thank you.
I'm tempted to ask you, where do you get your money from?
Well, right now it's a passion project. It's self-funded actually. It's actually been self-funded. We've been in existence for about about 2 years now. We've done pretty amazing work. We've actually engaged the House of Representatives. We have a program with them where we run sectoral engagements for them on a frequent basis. The last one we had with them was with an engagement between the House of Reps and the health sector. We had the country representative of WHO attend. We had the Minister of State for Health attend. Participate on a policy dialogue. We had the Chief of Health for UNICEF participating too. Several conversations around the health sector, and out of that we produced a policy document. Identified a lot of issues, studied a lot of issues in the sector. We created a policy document that we presented to the House of Representatives. We presented to the Speaker actually about a couple of weeks ago, and from there we've gotten the assurances of the Speaker that health will be placed on the front burner. I don't want to delve into the issue.
This is like more of social change. So where do you get these initiatives from? Like, do you just randomly pick from what's happening in the society and then you say, okay, this is worthy of your impact, or what informs that decision?
Yeah, so I think it's everybody should. So the thing about Nigeria is that we have grown used to doing things for ourselves. We provide water for ourselves, we provide health for ourselves, we provide security for ourselves, we even make roads for ourselves in some cases, and so the point being that there is a lot of slack that's being dropped by the government that has to be picked by civil society. So it's just to find an area of passion and plug in. You always find something to contribute to society. Right?
Okay, so now talking about social change now. Nigeria says no increase in pump prices after regulatory sparks confusion. Of course, I'm sure you noticed the fuel queues, yes, and so what is wrong?
It's interesting. Where I actually get concerned and a bit worried is, I think this issue is actually something that translates to other facets of the governance. The seeming disconnect between PPPRA and the Minister of Petroleum himself, who is the president. So why will PPPRA come out and issue a declaration that fuel prices have been increased by almost 50%?
Yes.
and then the presidency is coming out and saying we don't know about this. What does that tell about governance? Is does the president have firm,
right?
Yeah, there's no synergy, and I think these are things that you find, occurring in several facets of governance, from security to the digital economy and just all around, really. So it begs the question: is there no synergy of governance? And it's a good thing that the government has come out and said the price hasn't been increased, because we know historically 4 pump increases, the increase in price affects everything from the sale of tomatoes to school fees, everything, and it's a good thing. But one of the concerns I have when it comes to fuel is the need, to deregulate the sector. They need to remove subsidies. We spend 744 billion naira yearly annually on subsidies.
Subsidy, yes.
And it was a bit shocking for me to hear of the fuel price increase, considering that subsidies haven't really been removed, right?
Yes.
But we also have to ask ourselves questions as Nigerians. If we need to remove the subsidies, what's going to be the opportunity cost? How is it going to affect us? Are we going to deal with the consequences? But it also puts a responsibility on government. If you're removing subsidies, part of the things that you need to do to shield the cost is, or they should have done before now, is pretty much development. If there was enough development in the sector, in the country, some of the impacts of the removal of subsidies will be mitigated. So it's a case of we now find ourselves at where we need to remove subsidy, but we've not laid the foundation that would make that a reasonable course of action for us right now. And
because I am a bit worried about the removal of subsidy. Like, to a common man, that's almost the only benefit the common man gets from governance. That's almost the only benefit.
It's really a benefit to the common man and a benefit to the oil marketers.
Well, yeah, that's why. But because once the subsidy is taken off, prices it will affect. Do you understand? And then so it boils down to the common man. If prices are skyrocketing, what is the chance of the common man?
These are the issues for consideration, and that's why there's a lot of work to be done to hold government accountable. If the other sector, everything is interlinked, we tend to see, these sectors are separated. They're not isolated. From security to the energy sector, to health, to education, everything is interlinked. If the developmental work and platforms have been put in place already, export trade is happening. Small businesses are encouraged, to really genuinely encourage, sincerely encourage, not the one of mouth, not audio encouragement, sincerely done. Then there are so many things that will need to be in place that when you remove subsidy, the impact is, because it's necessary to remove it.
Yes, obviously it's necessary. But you see, like, it's in as much as it is necessary, the fear is that when this subsidy is taking off, the common man becomes the victim. That's on one side. And then even if the common man is a victim, at least you should have some assurance that whatever money is being generated from that oil business generally for the country impacts us. This is a country where, as you said, we are doing autopilot on water. We are running autopilot on electricity. Almost everything, like almost every sector is like, you take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself,
And then, there's something interesting. I was running one of these interviews on the street, and then someone told me that every time we see people say on the news, government gave this government billions of naira, you are calling billions of naira, and me, 300 naira to buy food. If 100 naira to buy food, I do not have. So
where's this money going?
Do you get?
So it's you question the sincerity of government when they're saying, we're doing this palliative, we're doing this intervention, and it's really not trickling down to the common man. People don't know people who have gotten these funds. The people who have gotten the funds are, there are some people who have benefited from all these interventions, but then because there's already a distrust between the people and government, it's difficult to say You know, they're not seeing this happening to their neighbor. They're not seeing their neighbor. Have you gotten the 300? You've not gotten the 300 naira. They said they shared. Have you gotten? Then where's the money going to? So it begs the question of transparency. If we need to have an attitude of transparency from the get-go. Information released, no hanky-panky, no hocus pocus. You know, and if people see that, oh, these genuine people, you know, have really genuinely accessed these funds, then it gives them hope that, okay, government is working or doing something. So these are some of the issues that we always talk about, you know, when we try to hold the government accountable to standards.
Wow. It's a lot to churn. I think we should take a break and dissect all this. Let's take a quick break and come back.
All right.
Nigeria has received 4 million doses of the coronavirus vaccine. The president and other government officials have taken the vaccine on live TV to commence the vaccination rollout. Currently, most of the doses have been distributed around different states in the country for it to be taken. I am on the streets of Abuja, the capital of Nigeria, to gauge the opinions of Nigerians on whether they would like to take the vaccine or not. Okay, would you like to take the vaccine?
Yes, I will do that. As I'm talking to you now, through their website that they have given, you can book your day for the vaccine. I did that. I registered for my wife. Only that the children below the age of, I think it was 8 or 12, I saw something like that. So that's why I couldn't register my children. But my wife and I have already booked dates for them. Only I'm waiting for confirmation email to know that yes, my date has been booked.
Would you like to take the vaccine?
Yes, I would really like to do that because it's a cure, so that to protect myself from all these kind of coronavirus and the rest, so as to be healthy and the rest. According to scientific, they said that all this is real, so we have to go through it so that to protect ourselves from all this kind of virus and the rest. Since the vaccine is available, I've already booked for it online. I'm just waiting for confirmation from their email so that I will know the date or how to get to it or how to receive the vaccine.
A ra'ayina ni ban yarda da shi ba, saboda muna da cututtuka manya-manya da ya kamata a ce an kawo rigakafin su, kamar irin su ciwon kansa, kamar irin su ciwon HIV, duk sun fi wayannan barna. Ba a kawo rigakafin su ba sai wannan ciwon wannan din. To gaskiyar magana ni a wurina ban yarda da shi ba. Gaskiya to zan dauka idan naga kamar hukuma sun tsaya a kaina, amma in dai ba hukuma a kaina gaskiya ba zan dauka ba. Shine gaskiyar magana.
To ni dai gaskiya ban yarda da wannan ba, saboda ganin nake in aka yi min kamar barmakon in ya zan na samu tsari gare ta, to kamar zan kamu ne da ita misali. Dan da yake tun farko ni ban ma yarda da cewa akwai corona ba.
Okay, Grace, do you know that the vaccine is in Nigeria?
No.
Okay, would you like to take the vaccine?
Yes.
Do you believe the vaccine will stop the coronavirus?
Yes, because some people they are taking it, but they are healed. So if I have it, then I would like to take it.
People are scared. Even me, I'm scared of taking the vaccine for now. But I will wait for others to take and see the reaction, the effect on them before I will take.
Patrick, do you think the vaccine will stop coronavirus?
I don't think so.
Why do you think it won't stop it?
Because Nigeria, the problem in Nigeria, most of our leaders are not serious about what they are doing. So I might not even like taking it because I'm not sure of what I'm taking.
There you have it. We have gotten opinions from different Nigerians on their view about the coronavirus vaccine, whether they would like to take it or not. Some are averse to taking it, while some are in support that the vaccine is a good thing. I am AK Nebo, ViewerTV News, Abuja.
Hello, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is New Dawn Nigeria, and I am in the studio with Obinna. Now, let's talk about a trending news item that's like from yesterday up until this morning, where the chairman of the House Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Benjamin Kalu, at his weekly media conference on Thursday says National Assembly is broke. It needs bigger budget to be efficient. Now, to an average Nigerian, this is a big news. We see them driving the big cars. We see them dashing money everywhere they go, giving out money out there. And, you know, in Nigeria, it's almost like an established fact that the politicians are supposed to be the rich ones, and then the rest can follow. And then suddenly they are coming out to say that the National Assembly is broke. How viable is this statement?
So this is very tricky. It might shock. I have an opinion that might shock people, but I think that there's a valid point when they say National Assembly is broke. I'll explain. But before we go into that, we need to understand. The legislators need to understand that the issue for Nigerians is really not about how much funds they're using to administer operations. The issue is a transparency issue, because it's a case of distrust for the institution. The people distrust the institution, so if you come out and say you're broke, nobody's going to believe you.
Yes.
The only way they will believe you if you're broke is if you've been transparent from the get-go. What are you earning? What's your salary? List it out. What of your allowances? How are you deploying them? Put it out. By the time you put down all the expenses, of the National Assembly, then the issue will no longer be, if you say you're broke, they'll say, okay, fine, let's look at your allowances. How have you been deploying it? Do you need more? Do you need less? And I'll tell you something. A lot of Nigerians don't understand this, but the National Assembly is, the general impression of the common man is that, for instance, the last budget, the National Assembly budget was 128 billion,
yes,
right? Is that this money is shared by senators and members of the House of Representatives and their staff, right? But because my organization has worked with them for a while, I understand this to be untrue. Let's start with, since 2018, from 2015 really till now, annually, the budget of the National Assembly has been around 125 billion naira. When you compare with the rate of inflation since that time, considering that back then a dollar was around 170 or so, and now it's about 470 thereabouts in the black market, right? So basically, the purchasing power of that money has come down, but the allocation to the National Assembly hasn't gone up.
Yes.
Right, and this is why I tend to agree with them when they say they're broke. Right, this is not to exculpate them from not being transparent.
Well, hold on. I understand that the purchasing power has reduced, but it's not just for them. It's for everyone, especially the common man, which is my interest, because we are the voice of the people. So it's for everyone. So rather than saying the National Assembly is broke, I think it's the country that is broke. Or
the country is broke, to be very honest. We run a country. We have a country that's running on debt.
Yeah,
that's a broader issue. Let's not even go into that. We can go into that later. But let me just finish making the point I was making about the National Assembly being broke.
Okay.
There are several people who need to understand. There are several institutions under the National Assembly. Rather, there are several agencies under the National Assembly. First of all, they have a staff of about 6,000 people that need to be taken care of out of that budget, right?
Yes,
annual budget. There is maintenance too that also needs to be done on the premises. It's a very big complex, right? And then there are agencies. There's the National Assembly Service Commission, which is a bunch of civil servants who support the system.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Yes.
They have to be paid. The system has to be managed. The premises has to be managed. Maintained. There is NABRO, the Budget Research Organization office. There is NIOT, which is Nigerian Institute for Legislative Drafting and Studies, which is sort of like an academic institution that supports the National Assembly, sort of like a mini university, and several other agencies. And all these agencies under the National Assembly budget share the National Assembly budget. They have running costs, they have maintenance costs of the facility and structures, they have all those costs. So by the time you look at it and break it down, you see that 128 billion naira is not going to be shared by the legislators alone.
Yes.
But the issue is this: there needs to be transparency. If you are the practice of where when citizens are trying to find out information on the disbursements of monies within the system, and they are told, "Oh, you have the Freedom of Information Act, go to court." It's not a transparency best practice.
Yes.
Right? From the get-go, be upfront about it. You see, I'll tell you something. The United States Senate website, it will shock you. They have an account of senator salaries from, get this, 1789. That's 2 centuries and 32 years ago. 232 years ago. Till date, they have the salaries there. That's the gold standard of transparency. Let us know what you're earning. Declare it. Dogara in 2017.
Yes, I was going to go there.
Yeah.
Dogara in 2017 said he was earning like about 400,000 naira as salary.
Yes.
As salary, meaning that and the allowance is like about approximately 8 million naira. That's for the lower house, and about 13 million naira. That's for the upper house.
Yes.
Now, do you mean that the problem is they are not accounting for what is happening to the 8 million naira thereabout?
I think that even by law, they're supposed to account for it, right? So if for instance, according to Dogara, the salaries of the rest member is 400,000 naira, and according to Senator Shehu Sani in 2018, the allowances and operating costs for senators is 13 million naira. Even according to law, they might not need to account for the salaries because that's their own personal entertainment, right? But the 13 million, they obviously need to account to it. They actually do account to it to the National Assembly Service Commission or management. But the question is, Nigerians want to know.
So if they account for it, where is the problem?
The problem is that, for instance, do you know the accounts? Do you know, have you ever seen an account of how the 30 million naira was deployed?
Well, no, I haven't.
This information is not already available to the common man.
Okay.
And it might seem to legislators like they're protecting their interest by withholding this information, but they're actually not, because already from the get-go there's been distrust for the legislature by the common people. So if you are proactive with furnishing this information, then people might start to believe you when you say you're broke, the money you're using to run yourself is not enough, because I actually genuinely believe that. And let me say something that will shock you, right? Having my nation having worked with the National Assembly for a bit, we've observed that on oversights, so the National Assembly by law, Section 88 of the Constitution and other sections, is tasked with a very sacred responsibility of overseeing and supervising the national budget, a national budget of 13 trillion, for instance, or 10 trillion, right? And that means this 10 trillion is being used and implemented or deployed all over the country, right? And you're doing it with a budget of 128 billion. Do you understand? Yeah. So how are you going to effectively do it? And so what we find is that sometimes when members of the House or legislators go on oversight visits outside, even within the FCT or outside the FCT, flight costs taken care of by the agency investigating, accommodation taken care of, transport taken care of by the agency investigating. So that means compromise from the get-go.
Yes.
How can you, with your full chest, exercise oversight and investigate a body that is feeding you and lodging you, and even in most cases providing security for you?
So that's like, so are you trying to say that in that 8 million or 13 million naira, there's no provision for your travels, your accommodation, and other things that?
As far as I understand, the allowances for the legislators it's for their own operation, right? The operation of their office and the constituency office, right? That's what the money is for. But then there's also another fund, within the system that supports things like oversights here. When a committee has to go and investigate because it's their duty.
Yes.
The commission or something, the management releases a certain amount of
money, which is supposed to be within that 128 million.
Yeah, I have found that in most cases that is usually not enough to take care of the cost, to fly the members. Yeah, that's what I found.
Please, you need to state your facts.
Well, For instance, one of the things you find when you have public hearings, right? When you have a bill that's presented for the House, is what I found is as a way to save costs, and you will see this practice if you go to the National Assembly frequently, if you attend public hearings frequently. Is a committee might have a 2-day public hearing. They're not just hearing one bill; they're hearing several bills.
Yeah.
Right. The logic behind that is to save costs because it's the same. They're trying to make sure that they're hearing a lot of bills under the same budget. Because you can't do separate hearings under the same budget. There's a certain allocation.
Can we break this down again? So when you're saying under the same budget, like hearing under the same budget, so you're paying where's let's break that money down. Let's look at the feasibility. Where does every single kobo come in? For example, in a hearing.
So, for instance, some costs that I know that are incurred by the committees, right, is people have to understand that legislating is technical work. It's a lot of intellectual work, right? And the members of the Senate or House most times won't have the expertise to look at the technical details of this. So let's say it's a legislation for the health sector, for instance. They don't have the technical expertise, a lot of them, even they are doctors, right, for policy. So what they do is that they have consultants who are technical experts who consult for these committees, right? Yeah. And then they have to pay those consultants. They do really deep diving into the work, right? And then they have they try and get information also from the stakeholders and all of that, and they have to reach out to stakeholders, continue engaging with them on an ongoing process when it's at the committee, when a bill is at the committee review stage, so that by the time the bill is coming out, it's a very, very fine-tuned work.
Okay.
So but what happens is, because they are strapped for funds, these bills or this process, the committee review process, engaging the consultants, doing the work, doing the research and all those things, and doing the public hearings, are funded by, in some cases, by organizations who have interest in the bill. So my concern really is that if a bill is being financed by an organization that has an interest in it, what are the chances that this law is going to come out and reflect the overall interest of the sector instead of a certain set of persons?
That's why I'm saying, if this is the case right now, that we are having organizations funding, in some cases funding some bills, then why are they broke?
Well, I would see there's this. Should these organizations be
I'm asking you because you are supporting them.
No, so again, hear me out. I like to be very pragmatic, very objective.
Yes.
Because my organization has done work, technical work in National Assembly, but we do a lot of legislative policy work. We know that the standard of production in Nigeria still has a long way to go compared to the standard of production of the legislative houses overseas. And we've seen what are some of the issues that are constraining them. And severally, the feedback we get from them is funds, right? So if they're saying that they're underfunded, I think because these organizations and other stakeholder interests should not be the ones funding these public hearings or oversights and all of that, right? If they're saying they're underfunded, then probably they're seeking some form of autonomy, from these influences that will, reduce the quality of the work.
But at the end of the day, my question is still not answered. I agree with you that there should be some form of independence on external funding from different organizations, right?
Yeah.
That's yes, that's agreed. That's that's what should be done.
It should function independently.
Right? But is this really because they are underfunded?
Well, see, again, and this is where we agree, right? Transparency. It's a transparency issue. If you don't come out and say, see exactly how we're using this money, when you come out and say you're underfunded, do you have questions of doubt like this?
Yes.
Right? I happen to, for instance, agree with them because I do a lot of legislative and policy work, and I know that they are nowhere near the capacity that they should. They don't produce the capacity of work that they need to produce as such an institution, and it's probably because of funds. You probably are not closer to that system, and you don't understand.
No,
and
so
you tend to
I'm
disbelieve.
Right now, seated on this seat, I'm like the voice of every common man out there.
I agree with you.
Because you have this knowledge or this information because you've worked with them. And for a common man out there, in fact, this is it. So they said the house is broke and is afraid of your complaints as Nigerians to make provisions for what will make them run the activities of the house. Now, effectively, this sounds like what you're just saying now, that they're saying the house is broke. So why are they afraid that Nigerians would complain? Because if you are telling me that you're receiving 13 million naira, for instance, and you are here telling me that because you worked with them, it's obvious to you that they are underfunded. So why are they afraid that Nigerians would complain?
That's the point I'm trying to make, right? And again, we agree. The point I'm trying to make is that fear is because, and that fear is self-inflicted. It's sort of like self-sabotage.
Because that sounds like a statement of guilt to me.
Because they have not been proactive, right? Either overtly or covertly. Because they've not been proactive with releasing a statement of how they deploy their monies. Then the preponderance of opinion about them from the public, the common man who does not know the technical workings of the National Assembly, for instance, is that they are not honest. So I think the solution to this, the simple solution, if they are underfunded, the simple solution is let us know how you're using the money, right? Mm-hmm. Let us know how you're using the money, and then the common man will start to believe you if you say you're underfunded, or start to question, and that's really what I think about it.
This is really like I'm not sure I'm fully convinced. Like I don't feel satisfied. I understand.
I'm not defending the
Well, I am saying this because you find it a little bit convenient to say that they are underfunded, because I understand that being a politician in Nigeria is a different ball game. Yeah. You have people knocking at your door morning, day and night, and you have to give them something, or else they will tag you.
That one's a failure of governance. It's the fact that, and this is why usually when they say, if you wouldn't have to give pennies on the dollar and 10 naira to people if the government was functioning properly, well, right? They wouldn't need 10 naira from you, because the things would be going well for them, the economy would be going well for them, the business would be going well for them. They wouldn't need you to pay their child's or their mother's health bills, and it's just a failure of governance. When I tend to agree with them, or to tend to give them the benefit of doubt if they say they're underfunded, is because from a purely technical legislative and policy approach, they are not churning out the amount or the capacity of work that they can and should compared with other developed nations. And I happen to know that those ones require a lot of funds. Yeah. These funds are going to the pockets of the members and senators. I'm not speaking about that. I'm speaking about the funds that go to the work, the technical work that they do. And I think the solution to this is declare, be transparent from the get-go about it. Like I said, the US Senate has records, financial records from 232 years ago. It's something that should sink into your minds, as legislators or as citizens, and then you should, motivate.
Because to a common man, it looks like you have plenty of money and you're not utilizing it properly. Well, we'll take a short break on You Don't Nigeria, and when we come back, more issues on the show. Do stay with us.
Hey, let's get to advertise your products and services on our platform. Viewer Television is here to give your business a boost with a touch of professionalism. If you're a brand owner, entrepreneur, proud business owner, let's place your business in the face of your customers. Contact us so we can talk business on 081-2121-2278 or info@viewertv.com.ng. Always remember, we are here for you.
Yesterday, I got that hook for barbed wire. Now expatriate we go come out time everybody they look for. Big man, when the great area boys, he motor spoil for Ajagunle 3 days ago. Now that day him realize say alaye na him brother. My country people, many things they happen for Niger, just yakpa for Africa, and the international story ain't not the finish. Hello, who dey me line? Akpi. How far? What did happen? I did record my promo. What did happen? You say coronavirus. Then they give vaccine. I beg, help me stay for line while they come. I go soon finish my promo. My country people, for this Ogbonge program, switch. Our work now to put air for ground. Carry all the latest story. Come give them to you. I see the hot. My sister, my brother, mommy, daddy. Carry your remote control. Tune them to ViewerTV, channel 191 on StarTimes. 4:30 p.m. every Tuesday and Wednesday. Make we honor, make we align matters arising. Before can happen, eventually happen. Anything where they block our national, continental, and diaspora progress, make we switch them.
Welcome back. Now we're still talking state of the nation, and my guest is still right here, Obinna. Now, Obinna, I'd like us to talk about the safety of students in Nigeria.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kidnappings, and it's like they're targeted. This is affecting their. Let's talk about like psychologically. This is affecting students. I remember back when I was in secondary school, we had these incidents of some form of fear like that, and people were giving us stories of Metacine, and when like there's a way it traumatizes you. The thought that you can be kidnapped at any point, at any day, that then there's, apart from the traumatic aspect of it, you know, it's affecting the learning process of the child, and then it's even affecting the country. Like, generally our security, the state of the nation is just, it's bad.
It's really bad. You know, mass abductions have become a really big concern in Nigeria. The Red Cross said there are about 26,000 cases of missing persons in Nigeria out of 40,000 cases in Africa. That's over Nigeria alone, over half of cases. But if we bring it down to more recent events, we had Kankara last year, 300 students. We had Kagara early this year, 27 students. We had Jengebe, 317 students. And then just yesterday,
now we have Kaduna, yes.
We had 30. And even this morning, I was reading the news that there was also an abduction of teachers in Edo State.
Oh, yeah,
so
that's true.
It's crazy. And you have to ask yourself, what's the opportunity cost for the country? The opportunity cost is education.
Yes.
These things are actively incentivizing education, especially in the northern region of the country. And if you look at the fact that we have abysmally low numbers of education in Nigeria, in the north already, then it becomes very concerning. Yeah. In the next 10 years, we're going to have a generation of children who have no education, who are now, because they had no education, they are subjected to a vicious cycle of poverty, of no education, and then of insecurity, of course, violence, because violence is perpetuated, you know. And these are some of the concerns. When we look at the fact that if we look at the numbers, for instance, 53% of people in the north, you know, are, you know, out of school. Most of the abductions have happened since Chibok.
Yes.
Have been girls, and we're in a month where we're celebrating the girl child, right? And women.
Yeah.
We have to look into these things.
Yes, because you know, from the Safe School initiative, that was supposed to be like a safe haven. Yeah,
solution. So you know, in 2015, surely on the heels of Chibok girls,
yes,
a number of countries came together in Oslo, Norway, and they signed a safe school declaration. The idea was that those countries were committing to ensuring protection of teachers and students in areas of armed conflict. Beautiful idea, brilliant idea. But where is it
let's
now?
narrow it down to Nigeria.
Let's bring it down to Nigeria.
Yes, let's narrow it down
2015,
to Nigeria.
$10 million. The federal government earmarked and apply $10 billion because it's supposed to be a matching fund, sort of counterpart funding. International development partners bring, and then Nigerian government brings. So $10 million was earmarked by Nigerian government, right, to cover 500 schools, make sure they're safe schools.
So when we say safe school, it sounds a little bit out there. Safe school. What is the funds? What is supposed to be for?
So the funds are supposed to provide security for schools, for instance, make sure there's access to schools. So in areas of armed conflict, in regions of, especially in the north, for instance, where we have insecurity, high insecurity, these funds make sure that these students can still go to school and have education, even these times of armed
So
conflict.
the big question now is what's happening in Nigeria. Where's the fund?
Exactly. I mean,
what can the fund do?
So that's the problem. A few days ago, just recently, the Senate mandated their committees on basic education and TED fund to conduct an investigation into, guess what, the misappropriation of $20 million that was earmarked for Safe School Initiative.
Now, do you see why we cannot trust them?
So that's where we are. This is actually a fault of the executive arm of government, right? And most of the issues with Nigeria, to be very honest, the executive, how do they implement? We have brilliant ideas. Safe school is a very brilliant idea that would have protected children, ensured that we protect that generation of people.
Yes.
But then how is it being managed? There's now allegations of corruptions here and there, and now the Senate is investigating. So these are.
Do you have hope for the security of Nigeria right now from what is going on right now? Because we are having the government come out with matching order, shoot on sight.
I'll tell you what I think should happen. I'm not a security expert.
Yes.
But I think some things are actually common sense.
Okay.
Money is the oxygen that funds any activity, licit or illicit, right?
Yeah.
So it only follows that if there's a crime happening, you trace the money, follow the money. It will take you to the source. US deployed that after 9/11. One of their strategies was to strengthen their money laundering, combating laws, and terrorism financing mechanisms, and we recorded huge successes for them. So now in Nigeria,
yes,
every act of insecurity, there's a pecuniary interest.
Yes,
somebody's benefiting from it.
Yes,
right. So the question is, follow the money to the source, cut off the head, the source of it. And then these other people on the ground, the terrorists on ground, are left stranded. You can now sweep in. But I feel like the approach we're taking is we're brute force. We are buying weapons and shooting the people on ground.
Yes.
But then the thing that is funding them, their source of life, is still there. So it begs the question, what is the NFIU doing? The Financial Intelligence Unit. Are they following the money? Are they working in synergy with other security outfits? One of the very perplexing things, right, is 300 students kidnapped. Do you use this to coordinate 300 children, right?
Yes.
Analysis was drawn to, if you are using 18-seater buses to convey 300 children, you need 16 of them. Now, this doesn't include the buses that will also convey the number of terrorists that are required to abduct and control them. So we're looking at maybe 20 buses. So 20 buses came out from the bush, drove into town, went to the schools, picked them, drove away, went out, and housed them in a place where they are providing food for them, they're providing shelter for them. There's a lot of economic activity around that if you follow the money, whether digitally or physically, it will lead you to the sources of these abductions, mass abductions. And I think that it begs the question: is the government, genuine about
yes? So because to an extent, the big question would be: is the government willing to fight this? Is it true that it is above, it's beyond them?
You see, and this is what is concerning. I don't want to speculate and then look as if I'm buying into conspiracy theories. But then from 2015, Chibok girls, right? The budget for defense then was 900 billion. Since then, get this, 2016, it increased to 1.1 trillion. So the next year, 1.1 trillion. The next year, it was 1.3 trillion. The other year, it was 1.76 trillion. Last year, it was 1.8 trillion. So it's constantly increasing.
Yeah.
That means a lot of money is going there. Last year, it was 16.8% of our entire budget that went there. And now, ask me how much of that money, 1.78 trillion, is going into capital expenditure, and capital expenditure is where we'll cover the things like buying arms, weapon machinery, and all of that. Out of 1.78 trillion, only 150 billion went for capital expenditures in the security sector. And security sector means army, navy, air force, police, civil defense, cuts across. So they use only 150 billion to purchase things, equipment that they need. That means about 1.2 trillion is going to pay salaries. 1.2 trillion went to pay salaries. In 2015, the entire budget for the security sector was 900 billion. So do we have men on ground? Is that what they're saying? Or we've increased salary of the men on ground?
And then
we're not seeing results. So these are some of the concerns that we have, and we really hope that the president has demonstrated. He has now come out and which is what he was supposed to do in the first place, come out and show the strong will, give marching orders. The NSA, seems to be more proactive.
Yes.
He's on TV now, giving marching orders and talking. These are things that should have happened from the get-go, because if the commander-in-chief shows his will, his demeanor determines how every other person acts. We have new security chiefs now. Let's see. Yeah,
well, from what you deducing rather from what you said, like matching orders is not enough. I like the idea you were saying of cutting the source where the funding is coming from, because I think that's even a more intelligent approach than the matching order.
Because then, because if you're going and you're killing people on ground, you're incentivizing, you're giving incentive for the economic system of this terrorism and the warfare. You're shooting. The more you shoot people, the more weapons they buy, the more people they recruit. The people at the top they are benefiting from the system. So I think they will take a more intelligent approach. Follow the money, get to the source, cut off the source, and then use your men to round up the people at the base. I'm not a security expert, but I think this is just common sense.
Yes, I think it's common sense. I think. Thank you so much. I really wish anyway. You'll be here next time again, because I really think that there are more things to churn out. There are more things to say, but I must say that you're happy too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So we'll have you again. But now let's join Jennifer Okolo with highlights from the international scene. Over to you now, Jennifer.
Good to have you join me on the international segment. My name is Jennifer Okolo. I'll be giving you a recap of major happenings that happened within the week. Now, he touched down into Myanmar, where to mark the International Women's Day and to express opposition to the Myanmar coup women as the women clothing. Now, in Myanmar, superstitious men believe that passing by undergarments worn below the waist of women will hurt their masculinity. Now, as the security forces and mostly male protesters have strung up sarongs on laundry lines to mock them during the past few weeks of demonstrations. Videos on social media have shown police taking down the lines of clothes before crossing them. Traditionally, walking beneath items used to cover women's private parts is not only bad luck, but emasculating for men. Now we move to Senegal, where a sixth protester has died in Senegal as the West African nation faces another week of widespread violent protests. Now, as tensions wrap up, the country's official internal mediator has warned Senegal is on the verge of an apocalypse unless the government makes a comprehensive effort to address the concerns of young people across the country. Demonstrations erupted in the capital city of Dhaka last week after the arrest of opposition leader Ousmane Sonko, who is facing rape allegations and charges of public disorder. And #Sonko and his supporters have claimed that the allegations are politically motivated. Sonko was expected to take on President Macky Sall in the 2024 presidential elections. As protests spread from the capital and swelled across the country, President Sall has so far ignored mounting pressure to speak about publicly on the protests. Members of his own government are now speaking out against his continued silence. Moving on into the Philippines, 9 activists were killed on what's being called Bloody Sunday in the Philippines 2 days after President Rodrigo Duterte publicly instructed security forces to kill communist rebels. Now, according to a human rights group, the victims were gunned down in a series of deadly raids in provinces south of the capital, Manila, on Sunday, in operations that included the arrest of 6 other people. Now, in November 2017, #Duterte broke off peace peace talks with rebels that sought to end a 52-year-old communist insurgency in the Philippines. Since then, left-leaning activists, lawyers, and farmers have been targeted in an increasingly violent crackdown, according to rights monitors. The Philippine government and security forces often tag activists and government critics either as members of the Communist Party of the Philippines or their sympathizers. Now, it is locally called red tagging, and some of this red tag turned up dead. The operations on Sunday were the deadliest in years. Meanwhile, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque justified Duterte's kill, or the same killings were not forbidden since the government is at war with the CPP and its armed group. As we all know, this week we celebrated the women internationally. Now, thousands of women took to the streets across the world for the International Women's Day, demanding gender equality and an end to violence against women. Worldwide, the United Nations Human Rights Agency said the ongoing coronavirus pandemic is destroying the livelihoods of many refugees and displaced women. Meanwhile, increasing poverty is endangering the lives of many. Women across Mexico turned out to protest the crisis of violence they face on a daily basis, fueled by what they say is an out-of-touch government and President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador's support for a politician accused of rape. Meanwhile, in India, thousands of female farmers held sit-ins and a hunger strike in Delhi protesting against the country's controversial new farm bill, which will open up the vast farmer sector to private buyers. Now, in Poland, women marked the occasion protesting the near total ban on abortion that took effect in January of this year. Now, Israeli women in Tel Aviv paid tribute to those killed as a result of domestic violence, demonstrating by lying in mock coffins outside the district court to represent the victims. Now, moving on to Greece. Greece's prime minister has appealed for calm after a night of rage in Athens as peaceful protesters were joined by football hooligans who set aside their differences under a common goal to attack cops. Now, on Tuesday night, around 5,000 people marched in the Athens suburb of Neasyani to peacefully protest repeated incidents of police violence. This particular protest came on the heels of a video of a police officer beating a man on Sunday, footage that horrified many Greeks, but also served to reinforce an attitude that felt deeply across much of Athens: the police are your enemy. So when the southern Athens middle class and communists with flags marched on Tuesday, they had this unusual and completely unrequested vanguard of hundreds of self-described football hooligans. That police violence would unify a chunk of Greek society comes as little surprise. Athens is a safe and crime-free place compared to most of Europe, so the sheer aggression of Greek policing is shocking for many. A touchdown into Mexico's, where lower house of Congress has approved a bill that would decriminalize cannabis for recreational, medical, and scientific uses. This brings the country a step closer to creating one of the world's largest markets for the drug. The bill, which is backed by the administration of President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, signals a huge shift in a country which has suffered for years under feuds between drug cartels, with violence killing thousands yearly. Mexican lawmakers approved the bill with 316 votes in favor and 127 against. The next step is for the Senate to review and approve the bill. The marijuana legalization bill would allow 5 types of license for the cultivation, transformation, sale, research, and import of cannabis. Now on to the Europe, where Denmark, Iceland, and Norway have suspended the use of the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine, while the European Union's medicines regulator investigates whether the shots would be linked to a number of reports on blood clots. Now, Denmark announced a 2-week suspension on Thursday following a number of reports of clotting in the country.
All right, welcome back. And of course, I guess you had a wonderful moment with segments. Lucas.
Yes.
So, what do we have next?
I guess this is the time. This is time to wrap up the show. But have you seen Coming to America too?
Of course, I've watched it.
Well, I guess you bantered about it last
Yes.
week, but this time around we have reactions of people that have seen the movie from. So on a lighter note, we would wrap up the show and then leave you to watch that for yourself. That's reactions from people who have seen Coming to America too. But on a general note, we had a good show, and I do hope that you enjoyed yourself. So we'll see you again next week, Saturday. I am Dr. Spello, and
I'm John Martaki. Keep it deep with us.
All right. Bye.
Coming to America is a 2021 comedy film that serves as a sequel to the 1998 movie Coming to America, starring Eddie Murphy, Arsenio Hall, Shari Heatley, and other star-studded actors. Since hitting the cinema screens on Saturday, 5th March 2020, the movie has received a lot of comments from critics and movie lovers alike. While some feel the movie is worth the 33-year wait, others think it is nowhere close to the 1988 classic. Let's listen to what some movie lovers have to say.